Hello everyone, welcome to Grow Up Level Up, an interview podcast where we talk to folks about the fun and games that helped us grow up. I'm Samson, and in this podcast, I do interviews with people and explore the childhood games, whether it's video games, tabletop games, playground games, and more, that helped them grow up and had an impact in their life. I also talk to them about the types of games and fun experiences that they choose to participate in today. The goal of this podcast is to highlight the importance that fun has in our lives and relationships, whether it's growing up, present day, or in the future. Without further ado, let's bring in our guest for this episode of Grow Up, Level Up. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Grow Up Level Up. We did take a little break, so thank you for joining us again. If it is your first time joining us, or if you've joined back after a couple weeks off, as always, my name is Samson. I'm the host of this project I call Grow Up Level Up. It's a podcast where we talk to guests about how fun and games influence their lives and continue to each day. Today, I have a very special guest, but before that, I have a bit of housekeeping to go through. If you are watching the video or listening, you might see the production quality is pretty good again because we are at Launch Academy again recording today. Launch Academy is Western Canada's best tech accelerator and incubator, and I am very blessed to be able to use this room for this podcast. So shout out to Launch Academy. Find out more at launchacademy.ca. Welcome to season 2. Like I said, lots of changes coming. And they're still coming. I'm working on it. I'm sure we'll dive into that. But yeah, stay informed and up to date on all our socials at Grow Up Level Up and on my socials at SamsonXP. As well, sign up for our newsletter, growuplevelup.substack.com. And last but not least, thank you so much for joining us so far. This project has been great. I know we took a little bit of a break. I apologize for that, but I needed the time to regroup, find new guests, and make sure that this podcast can continue on in the long run. I'm sure lots of people talk about taking breaks to make their things better, and that was mine. So if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking by us. Anyways, today on Grow Up Level Up, we have a very special guest. He's actually one of the first guests we have that is that was a recommendation from one of our previous guests. He's a multi-talented performer, singer, musician, as well as entertainer, Twitch streamer, advocate, multi-talented individual. Please welcome to the show, Dayton Cahill.
Yes, thank you for having me, Samson. This is wonderful. I love this. This set is really something.
Thank you.
Else. I'm not used to such wonderful production quality.
Thank you. Yeah. I tried. We worked it out with what we have. Not to get too nerdy, but we got some mics, we got some lights, we got.
I do like these mics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very, very good. I think they're technically karaoke mics, but we kind of they
kind of look similar at least. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they work really well. And speaking of production, if you can, please check it out on YouTube because Dayton's got the snazziest shirt on right now. I feel very underdressed. I'm pretty sure I wore this hoodie on this podcast before too. So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just got this, I believe, from Hudson's Bay.
Oh, okay.
Not sponsored, by the way, but Hudson's Bay. I think it was part of the John Lennon collection that they had.
Lennon, wow.
Which I'm a huge fan of John Lennon. I mean, he's like,
oh, okay. Hey, maybe we'll dive a little bit into that. But first things first, as I ask every guest, what are you drinking today on the podcast?
Well, this is a raspberry pure leaf real brewed iced tea. This is actually my personal favorite flavor, but there are several. And I'm the type of person who only specifically drinks iced tea beverages. Mm-hmm. It has to be an Arctic tundra to justify a hot tea for me.
Oh,
it'll be Christmas Eve and raining, and I'll be gotta get an iced tea. I'll be wearing an overcoat and shivering and just sipping on one of these or the Arizona ice green tea that you get at the convenience stores.
That's awesome. Yeah. Would you say you're someone that runs a little hot? I'm always. Sometimes I feel like I could just wear a t-shirt all the time. Never pants.
Unless it goes into really the single digits, I feel like I can get away with wearing a short sleeve shirt if I have something on over it. Unless it goes into the single digits, then I'm like, okay, time to pump the
Fair
brakes
enough.
a little bit, and I gotta,
Fair enough.
I gotta break out the long sleeve flannels and stuff like that, which I don't mind wearing either. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to live in a part of the province where it doesn't get very cold during the winter, and if it does, it's wonderful. We appreciate it. Although after a week of snow, I feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to drive in, it's hard to maneuver in, but we didn't get like I mean, I'm probably going on a weird tangent right now.
It's okay. We can tangent.
But we didn't, like last year, we got the white Christmas, right? The last time this happened in this part of Vancouver was like 2009 or 10, and I was like 5 years old back then.
Yeah.
So
I think I remember that as well.
It was wonderful to finally do that again.
Yeah, like
because it started snowing later and later, and like
it's true. And like once in March, like Vancouver is
February was what I was prepared for every year. After it happened, like 2 years where I was like, oh, we gotta get prepared for snow in February and stuff like that.
It happens sometimes. Like I think one of the best parts about Vancouver is you get a little bit of every province, or not every province. You get a little bit of every season.
Yes, of course,
and then a little bit of every province.
When it's summer,
as well.
if you guys are in Vancouver and you ever get the chance during the summer, go down to English Bay. It's absolutely wonderful down there, especially in the summer. I am not kidding you. It looks and it feels like Los Angeles because of the palm trees and the seaside
and the
everything.
Sunset, man.
Oh
like
yeah,
the sunset's so good.
I'm jealous of all the people who live like right next to the ocean because they can look at that every single evening. It's something that I really wish that I had.
That's true.
But
that's true.
Can't win them all. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
We're already lucky to be living so close. And
of course,
for myself, I got myself once again a Coca-Cola, but not zero. Yeah, this is a Coke regular. So
yeah, all respect to those people who go for the Diet Cokes or the Coke Zeros. I was actually never allowed to drink Coca-Cola as a kid.
Oh, interesting.
Because
I mean, good.
I guess it's a good thing.
Yeah, right. I
mean, even now that I'm old enough, I still choose not to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, because of the caffeine and the caramel color
and the like sugar inside.
I mean, it's like it's there's more in a can of that than there is in like a big bottle of like 2-liter ginger ale, I guess, isn't there?
Probably.
I guess there probably is.
Yeah, no.
But when I do feel like I want to break the rules, I do go for a Pepsi. And of course, there's the age-old debate: Coke versus Pepsi, which one is better?
Yeah.
Get out of here with that. I think both of them are equal.
Wow. The diplomatic.
well, that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
Who cares?
Fair enough.
Doesn't really
fair
matter.
enough. Fair enough. All right. Top 3 video games of all time.
Dang. So, wow. I've top 3 video games of all time. Well,
doesn't have to be video games too. It could be like playground games, board games, like.
Well, I never really did video games when I was really young. I was more like doing the playground stuff as a kid when I was about 5, 6, 7, 8 years old back in like elementary school. Because that was we always had a playground. Even in preschool, that was a big deal. Like when I went to preschool like 15 years ago, which is up near UBC. I think I think it's called Berwick Preschool. That was where I went 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And they had those little tiny cars. I'm such a huge car fanatic. So they had those little tiny cars that you would sit in and just move with your feet. And I was like, even when I was 4, I was like, why did these look so much like smart cars? And I'm looking back on it now, I'm like, how the Ford Mustang did I know that at 4 years old? What a smart car looked like. That doesn't
naturally aware. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was that. That was the first thing. And then the first video game I ever played was Gran Turismo 5. I was about 7 years old.
Yeah.
And my upstairs neighbor had a PS3 and one of those racing wheels, the Logitech G27 racing wheel with the accompanying 6-speed 8-shifter, which I love so much. And I was like, how that blew my mind when I was 7. Like, how can you have a steering wheel that controls something in a video game? That's so cool.
Yeah, and it's like fighting back too.
Of course, force feedback. And I used to do that all the time when I was like 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, that is pretty cool. Like, for those who don't know, Gran Turismo is a video game, but it's made to feel like real and simulate the real stuff. So to be 7 years old and you're sitting in the seat and you have the steering wheels and stuff and you're playing a video game, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. And then of course, I believe Lucas mentioned this in season 1. I do like to stream a lot of racing video games. The one that I play these days is Forza Horizon 5. That is my phone. Sorry about that. Everybody's being a ding dong on my social media.
We got some noise outside too, but you know,
yeah, well,
it is what it is.
But Yeah, Forza Horizon, the Forza Horizon series. I started playing, I believe, like the very end of Forza Horizon 2.
Okay.
And then the first video game that I actually got myself was Horizon 3. And then I played that, got Horizon 4, played that. And then I got Horizon 5 and I'm still playing that. And I'm like, I absolutely love the whole open world racing.
Yeah.
Which I found was a really wonderful change over the motorsport franchise, which is, I believe, Xbox's equivalent to the Gran Turismo franchise, which is
more
of course,
simulation, more realistic.
Right. And I love realism and immersion in video games. We'll get to that, I guess, a little bit later if we do. But I still that's my favorite, is realism and immersion and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I'm sure I don't need to be a detective to figure this out, but there's a common theme of racing between your childhood, middle, adolescence, and like now. What draws you to racing games? Like do you race cars in real life now?
I wish I could say yes, but that would be a lie. So right now I will say not yet. But
okay. Yeah,
I am a major car enthusiast, and that started as well when I was 4. This seems as though everything I talk about today starts when I was like 4 years old.
That's okay. For some people, you find your passion, right?
Yeah.
Like when you're young.
But when I was about 4, there was my great uncle who had a 2006 Infiniti G35. And if that's like the big fancy sports car, that was basically the equivalent to like the Nissan 350Z or something.
Okay.
And same engine, same everything. But he had one of those 6-speed manual transmission. It was silver, it was with black interior, was beautiful. And he used to take me for drives in it all the time. And then I believe, like every so often, down by the English Bay, there was a little parking lot. You can't get in there anymore.
Oh, interesting.
But it's got like picnic tables there and stuff like that. But back 15 years ago, it was a place for people to park their cars. And that's where I would go with my great uncle. Vernon is his name.
Shout out to Vernon.
Yeah, shout out to Vernon. Absolute legend. But he would just take me down there, and then I would just be starting it up, revving up the car, and I was like, wow, that was so exhilarating.
Yeah.
And that was what made me realize, dang, I love these things.
Yeah, no, fair
And
enough.
I still love them to this day. I mean, everybody's going to have their own opinions on electric cars. I personally love electric cars, but to me, nothing beats everything being a petrol head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Nothing beats an actual engine.
That's fascinating. Yeah, I feel like I'm late to the car appreciation realm, because they are like
a lot of my
cool.
friend group are.
Yeah.
They're like, why? What is this fascination? What's so special about a car? Like, it's just,
see it every day.
It's just a 3-ton hunk of steel with 4 wheels on it and an engine that makes it go vroomy zoomy. So
vroomy zoomy. No, but it's like, once you obviously look into it, there's so much intricacies.
There's a lot of math.
The math, the engineering, the feeling, and like the part of it is, well, for me anyways, it's like it's almost like a like you feel powerful in a car because it goes so fast. You're in control most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's like,
except for when you're not, and then you're like,
Yeah. That like in control within reason. Don't do anything stupid in cars. They are, you said it, 3,000-pound hunks of steel. But at the same time, they also allow you to do so much more, like go to farther places, carry more people, carry more stuff. It's a really cool tool for sure.
And everybody does that. Everybody goes after that when it comes to marketing and stuff like that. Everybody's like, oh, this has got like off-road everything, or, you know, it's like an SUV that can seat 9 passengers and stuff like that. And they've done that as far back as
take it up the mountain.
Of course. And they've been doing that as far back as the 1960s and 70s, right? When the Ford Bronco came out in 1966, that was a sport utility vehicle.
Wow.
And nobody had even heard of that term before until the Bronco came out.
Interesting.
And, but of course, that was seen as like a bit of an alternative to those big, giant SUVs, like all those Blazers and Broncos that people would use to go mudding on their property, or, you know, or they've used to go hunting.
Sounds about right. Well, enough about cars. I don't want to peg you only as the car guy. You also have so many other talents, specifically your musicianship.
Yes.
How did you go from cars to music? Like,
Well, I've always loved, I mean, the only thing, this is a bit of a story itself. The only thing I ever really responded to was music. I mean, even when I was a baby, I mean, we'd put it on and the whole world would be better. Right. And if the music wasn't on, I seemed irritated all the time.
Interesting. What kind of music or
I
whatever?
grew up, what was it? When I was a baby, it was stuff like, Peggy Lee, who's legend.
That is. Okay.
And then people like J.S. Bach. I listened to a lot of classical as a kid.
Yeah.
Even, and then people like the Beatles and Elvis. Elvis was a huge influence on my early musical inspirations and stuff like that. And then, so that was that. And then Johnny Cash as well. So I was mainly raised on a lot of oldies because I've been raised by my grandmother for my whole life, and grandma's sacrificed a lot to get me where I am today. And so shout out to my grandmother, Candace.
Yeah, shout out to Candace, Vernon and Candace,
of course. And but of course, grandma's from that generation where she grew up listening to that kind of music as well. So it's like naturally I was raised on that kind of music and stuff like that. So I was, but for the longest time, even when and I should also mention Jan Arden. I'll talk more about her later because there's something that she's been involved in a different field other than music that I'd like to touch upon later on in this.
Yeah.
But Jan Arden was a major influence on me, but that was when I was younger. And then when I was about 7, and then for the longest time, from when I was about 6 until I was about 13, 14, I was stuck in this bubble where all I listened to was country and classic rock, and that was it.
Sure, yeah.
And even modern country, people like Keith Urban and Eric Church and Dierks Bentley and all those people. And that was it. Like, that was all that I would listen to. And then when I was 14, my younger brother Wyatt introduced me to Linkin Park.
Oh yeah.
Who
Chester,
I'm a huge fan of today.
Mike.
I mean, Chester Bennington.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
He was really something else, honestly. But it was Linkin Park. The first song I ever heard by them was In the End, which is their biggest hit from 2001.
Yep.
And I heard that and I was like, what the heck? What have I been missing out on my whole life?
This is awesome.
This is awesome. And because that's more my dad's kind of music and stuff like that. And my dad grew up listening to people like Stone Sour and
Sum 41.
I'm not sure about Sum 41. I don't know if he listened to Sum 41, but he definitely listened to those kinds of people like Disturbed.
Oh yeah.
He likes that kind of music, more heavy rock. I mean, now he listens to everything ranging from opera to gangster rap.
Nice.
He said so himself. Those are his words, not mine. But Linkin Park, and then I was stuck on that for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
I'm the type of person who's like, if I get introduced to an artist, I'll get fixated on them for so long.
Sure, yeah.
So I was stuck on Linkin Park for at least a couple of years, and then people like, of course, Sarah McLachlan, who is another Canadian legend, and then Joni Mitchell. A lot of Canadian people, Joni, Sarah, Katie Lang. Didn't really get into Katie Lang, but that's that. But my grandmother. I mean, I can tolerate Katie Lang. I'm sorry, I cannot tolerate Celine Dion.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the one Canadian you're like,
one Canadian. I'm like,
I
I draw the line here at Celine Dion. I cannot listen to Celine Dion to save my life. But I was stuck on that. And then when I was about 17, I got into more indie folk sort of stuff like Damien Rice from Ireland. I mean, a lot of people from Ireland as well. I mean,
interesting.
Even people who are not known for their musical stuff, but they're known primarily as actors. So someone like an Irish actor. I don't know if you know who he is. His name is Jonathan Rhys Myers.
That name actually sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was in a couple. He was in Match Point from 2005. I think it was he and Reese Witherspoon did a movie together.
Cool. That's a pretty high up there actor then. Eh?
And then in 2000, and then in 06, he was in a movie he was in Mission Impossible 3 with Tom Cruise. And then the following year, he was in a movie with Kerry Russell and Robin Williams called August Rush, which is the
I think I've watched that one. August Rush is a music movie, right?
Yes. Freddie Highmore. And then he actually does a couple songs for the movie. One of them is called This Time, which is
I think I've heard of this movie.
It's a good song. And then when I was 18, I was introduced, I guess reintroduced, I should say, to this Irish singer and songwriter. His name is Glenn Hansard. Glenn Hansard is known for this amazing independent movie called Once, which I watched last fall. And I was like, okay. clearly I was missing out on Glenn Hansard. So I started listening to a lot more of his music because before once, nobody, at least in North America, really knew who he was.
Okay.
If you're in Ireland, then you'll know him from a band called The Frames, which he's fronted since 1990.
Oh, okay.
So I've been listening to a lot of The Frames lately and stuff like that. And just this past week, actually, I watched a documentary called Searching for Sugar Man, which is about this 1970s musician named Sisto Rodriguez, who is known, I believe, mononymously as Rodriguez, who put out 2 albums in 1970 and 71.
Yeah.
And in the States, he went nowhere, absolutely nowhere.
Yeah.
I think even 10 people bought his records.
Dang. Well, it sounds like you are super well versed in all these actors, musicians, and
I try to be.
Dude, it's
that being
like
said,
to learn, right? Trying to learn from the people that have done it before you. Sorry, you're.
I mean, that being said, I'm very stubborn when it comes to cinema. I have to be forced to watch movies. I've probably only seen about 25, 30 movies in my life.
Oh wow!
But August Rush and Once are definitely up there.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about it at a later time. But
yeah, no, I think I've watched both those movies, and I remember, like they are music movies, but I also remember it's like one of the first times I really appreciated this movies and music doesn't have to be like musicals, like Disney musicals. It could be
which is what everybody we know at least knows them as, like musicals or even stuff on like the Broadway stage or West End in London or even here in Vancouver. We got places like the Queen Elizabeth Theatre, even the Stanley Theatre, which is where I saw my first musical, Mary Poppins.
Nice. But like music movies can be like stories that are about music, not stories told through music.
Exactly. And I'm just going to say right now, I've actually got a couple ideas for my own musical movie up my sleeve.
Speaking of music, can you tell a little bit about your music journey so far? You are in a band. You also do a lot of solo acts. So if you can share about that.
I'm not, okay. I don't know. I wouldn't essentially call it a band right now. It's more of like a musical project that is not associated with my solo
Similar
work.
to this is a podcast project.
Exactly. So I started doing the idea. So it started when I was about 7 years old. I had my first performance in front of a crowd of people. I played Who'll Stop the Rain by Creedence Clearwater Revival, CCR, on the drums when I was 7. And it was then that I knew, dust flying in my face. It was then that I knew that I wanted to be a performer.
Cool.
So I started doing just playing my guitar and stuff like that. Cause I started on drums when I was 5 years old. And then I switched into guitar and singing when I was about 7. And then eventually piano when I was about 14, 15. But I started doing like songs with like my guitar and my voice when I was about 11.
Yeah.
And then I went, stuff like that. But I love playing the guitar. It's actually it's my primary instrument that I use today. Still want to get a 12-string guitar at some point because I really do appreciate the stuff like that. And then sorry, I'm going to go all over the place here. That's just my way of thinking.
It's all good.
But I was inspired to basically found my new musical project. It's been around for about 7 or 8 months. It's called Copperleaf, which I believe Lucas mentioned in his episode that he was on.
And we'll link it below, Copperleaf on Instagram.
Yeah,
and
at
Spotify.
Copperleaf Band.
Copperleaf
we don't have any stuff on Spotify yet. That's coming soon, next month.
Ooh.
So we've got I was inspired to found Copperleaf basically after I watched the movie once. Because I realized that in my solo stuff, which I have on Spotify, which I believe will also be linked if we do that.
Yep. Dayton Cahill on
Dayton
Spotify.
Cahill on Spotify. And also at official Dayton Cahill on Instagram. Yeah. And at Dayton Cahill on Twitter. But I do all my solo acts and they're all different styles.
Okay.
Like ranging from like stuff like alternative rock, because I did a Linkin Park cover with my friend James McDonald. Shout out to James. He's actually in the Canadian Army now.
Ooh, James.
And James McDonald. So he's pretty cool. I went to high school with him for 3 years, and we did this alternative rock project. He just came over to my house just to jam for like 3 hours or something, and then the Linkin Park cover, My December, from
Oh,
2000 was the result of that collaboration. Our cover of My December, which
Awesome.
we can find on Spotify. That was the
Yeah,
first thing that we
load
did.
up.
We branched into alternative rock, and then I did a cover of Nutshell by Alice in Chains.
Mhm.
And then I did my original song called Suburban, which is vastly different. It's more electronic rock combined with like techno elements and like stuff like that.
Interesting.
I actually wrote the music for it when I was about 13 years old.
Wow.
I
long project then,
I was 13. So you can get the idea. They're all over the place, right?
Yeah.
And then Copperleaf came after I watched once.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, clearly my solo stuff is all over the place. Plus, I was getting tired of playing by myself all the time. I've been doing it for 8 years now.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to feel like I need a little bit of a change of pace.
Sure.
So I got together with a bunch of other friends of mine, Hannah, her younger sister, Daniela, and our friend Aiden Cox.
Mhm.
And we basically chose to put this little musical project together as like some sort of a side thing that's more indie folk and
Cool.
rock mashed together and stuff like that. And a little bit of pop from Aiden's musical influences and stuff like the stuff that he listened to, like Sabrina Carpenter and Olivia Rodrigo and stuff like that. I don't listen to that.
Popish.
Right. I never listened to that kind of music growing up, but I can respect that people have their own tastes and stuff like that. But that was basically what resulted was Copperleaf. And we actually did write some original material.
Awesome.
And we did rework some of the old stuff that I had written in my youth when I was about 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
But it's still a musical project. We haven't gone anywhere with it yet, except for this one single that's going to be coming out sometime next month. It's a cover of a Glenn Hansard song. It's called The Moon.
All right. We'll definitely keep posted for that. Do you have an approximate date when it's coming out, or you guys are still heads down working on it?
We're still working on it. We're supposed to record it at the beginning of next month.
Cool. That's exciting. Like the first song out of this new project.
And it's all done really in my bedroom at my studio in my room.
Yay. So wherever that works. So before the show, we were actually talking about recording a podcast in the studio, but I'm like, I've done episodes where I brought 2 mics to my friend's house and we recorded on her couch. We've done it where I've recorded in my friend's apartment. Like, wherever works, wherever you get like a good conversation.
I mean, of course, the big goal is to do it in a professional studio.
Yeah.
Which I already have an idea of where we would do it. But at the same time, you got to bring into account money is a factor in everything that we do.
That's true.
So plus studio time is expensive. Like my good friend Marshall Forsyth, the two of us don't work together anymore. He's gone off to do his own thing, but we did collaborate on Suburban together.
Yeah.
He sings guest vocals on the track as well. He's a featured vocalist.
Cool.
But he put out a song in his own right about 5 years ago and stuff like that. But he did it at the studio, and he's like, "Yeah, man, you don't understand. Studio time is a lot more expensive than you think it is." And I'm like, "Yeah, it actually is."
So would you say that's the biggest challenge to like not finding success as a musician, but starting to
get your foot in the door?
Yeah, is the studio time, and it's so gated by money that like and I'm sure the joke is like musicians are always poor. They're paying for studio time. They don't get performances. Like, would you say that's the biggest challenge as a musician or an aspiring musician?
I don't know. I mean, like an aspiring musician, obviously your best thing to do is to just keep writing. And if you've got stuff in your room that you can use for the time being, use it. Cause that's what I did. I've got like a little tiny interface that's like this big.
Yeah.
Really, really really small. And that's got like two different audio channels in it. I use one for my guitar and one for my microphone. And I've got more stuff like soundproofing that I can put up in my room and turn that into a studio, at least to record demos. If I don't choose to master them, if I don't choose to master them at my house, eventually down the road, I will have a place to take them. But as of now, I don't. So I'm like, okay, I got to make the best of what I have. And that's what I've been doing. So all the stuff that you hear on the Spotify pages is all done in my room.
Oh, wow.
Because
honestly,
that's all an independent music, because I'm not signed to a label or anything.
Yeah.
I've got to, do do my own stuff, right? So
Yeah. Honestly, I listened to songs a while ago and I could not tell they were made in a bedroom.
Right.
That's very,
plus, I mean,
very
if
impressive.
you take plus, a lot of people make music in their bedroom and they've made it really big. Like take a look at someone like Billie Eilish, for example.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of
who, just to say, is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. But
shout out to Billy.
yes. But it's interesting because that was all done in a bedroom.
Right.
In a bedroom with decent equipment,
Mhm.
not like, I guess, not like top of the line equipment, but decent enough
Yeah.
that if it's not done in a studio, it can still sound like amazing.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been trying to do, and I've been working into getting,
That's fair.
because I use GarageBand as well,
Yeah.
which is Apple's default DAW, DAW digital audio workstation for
Mhm.
all of the music that I've been doing. I've been doing
Yeah.
it for like over 10 years. So
And I think that's a really good point you bring up is like, yeah, Billie Eilish started in the, like she's a megastar now, but
right.
she started her first
She's
couple
she's only just a short amount older than I am.
Oh
like,
yeah.
But
I sure like it's the talent and the writing and the creativity that will really help you take off. Like
yes.
like recording in a studio doesn't automatically make you a good songwriter
Nope.
or performer or musician, singer, whatever. Like
Yeah.
you still need to have those foundational creative parts ready to go and
Right.
and built on, scaffolded
Right.
on. Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to say it right now. I am not the biggest fan of the music that's in today's day and age. People like all of the mumble rap artists.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot
SoundCloud
stand
rappers. Yeah.
SoundCloud rappers. I cannot stand them.
Yeah.
Because all they use is auto-tune. And,
Mhm.
or well, I guess if you're a music producer, you will know the term is pitch correction.
Mhm.
And one of the stupid rules that I've given myself is that I try to use as little pitch correction as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But it's because it's like unless it's I'm using it as like an art form,
Mhm.
which I've done, by the way, one song, one demo,
Sure.
and everybody hated it. So I'm not.
Oh.
So I've realized I'm not gonna.
You learned.
Yeah. And even I look back on it and I'm like, dang, why did I do that?
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, if you've got stuff in a bedroom, you're
Give it a try, right?
yeah, just give it a try. I mean,
You never know what might come of it. It's I think and even speaking like my journey with this
Mhm.
podcast, I've hesitated so long because it's like, oh, I don't have the right mics, I
Mhm.
don't have the right guests. But actually I heard this from another podcast, Greg Miller from Kind of Funny. He just said, like, look, you have an iPhone with a mic, just go do it. Like
just like when you're shooting a movie, if you've got an iPhone that's got a good camera,
Yeah.
use that.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, just record out of your bedroom. Of course, it's important to chase those because I think people just the expectation's so high nowadays as well.
Yeah,
It's
and then
super accessible.
everybody thinks that they can all do that.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And to me, it's like, I will admit I was that person myself. If I could just do this the right way or do that the right way, then that'll give me the creative. Or that'll give me the push that I need to finally get into the studio and do this myself and make a name for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I was about 14, 15 years old that I realized that that's not how it works.
Yeah.
At least that's not how it works anymore. This isn't 1968. But yeah, I mean, it's like if you've got stuff, use it. And then that stuff, whatever you do make, if it's good, which I have no doubt that it will be,
Mhm.
You can use that to help push on to bigger and better things.
Totally.
Like I'm trying to get my busking permit and stuff like that this
Awesome.
summer and do something with
exciting.
that. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to get another facet of my my musical journey, which is performing,
Mhm.
to finally push that out there.
No, that's awesome. That's really great wisdom. Like, yeah, I think that's a struggle.
Well, I try.
Well, it's also
I'm not great
experience.
at teaching things, but
That's okay. That's
the best advice that I can give at the moment.
it's good because I think like most people just need to hear like, hey, it's cool to fail and it's cool to fail again. What's most important is you just try again. Try the exact same thing. Maybe try something a little different.
And don't be afraid
you gotta take that first step.
Yeah. And also don't be afraid to take constructive criticism, because a lot of people, even myself, I have to admit it. When you've worked so hard on something and someone comes in and tells you that they don't like it, your first instinct is to say, well, screw you. You do better. You come in here and do this and try to make something better because I've worked so darn hard on this project. Right.
Yeah.
But I'm like, now I'm like, okay, well, I've learned now to, I will admit, I still struggle.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure lots of people do. So
right. I'm sure lots of people do, but, and I still struggle with it, but
Yeah.
I'm like, I've learned to at least figure out exactly what people are trying to say. And if you get their advice, I mean, at least hear people out. And then if you get their advice, whirl it around in their information, whirl that information around in your head, and then you can decide what you want to do with that information.
Yeah.
But hear people out, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a really great point you bring up. Like for a lot of things, it's art. Art can be interpreted in many ways. When somebody says they don't like something, like there's a reason behind that. And yeah, like try to work your magic, get the reason why it's not what they want it to be, and then see how you can incorporate that in your craft and use it to your advantage, really. Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah. That's a really great creative, artistic wisdom to share there.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Going back to video games.
Because that's the reason why we're here mainly.
well, mostly like part of the podcast is as well. I want to talk about what people find fun, and I'm sure you find making music. There's some fun in that. You're not just grinding it to make money. Like there's fun. So
well, I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping to get there at some point.
That's the goal.
Yes.
But between video games and music, where do you find a balance for that? Like you're also a Twitch streamer. We didn't even touch on that yet. Yeah. So like, how do you balance those two seemingly different hobbies? Maybe there's something similar there, but how do you find time for both?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do play video games a lot more casually than I do actually streaming.
Okay.
Because I just recently started doing the whole streaming thing, and even then, it's still unscheduled. Like it's just stuff that I feel people should be able to hear and watch me play.
Yeah.
That's still a fairly recent endeavor, and I think it was Lucas who basically encouraged me to be like, you know, this is something that I think you could be good at.
It's like performing almost,
of course, but just in a different field, right?
So in your room, instead of on the street.
Yes, of course. But I don't know. I mean, I like the balance. I don't really know. It's
okay.
That's a really interesting question. I don't even think that there really is that much of a balance. I mean,
it's different hours.
At least right now.
Yeah.
Because I obviously spend more time on my music than I do on video games.
Fair enough.
But whenever I do sit down and play video games, it's a thing because a lot of people, especially, play video games to go to their so-called nothing box in their head, where they just want to go in there. In their brain, go to this specific nothing box in their brain and just not think and just sort of unwind. A lot of people do that with other forms of other indulgences like movies or TV. I do that for video games. And it's
okay, so video games are more of a place to relax.
Yes.
It's a place to, after a hard day of being creative and music, like I
especially now that I'm out of school. Especially now that I'm out of school for a year.
Yeah.
That's more my thing now. That being said, when I got out of high school last summer, I was looking forward to sitting around and doing nothing. Now I'm getting tired of doing even that.
Wow.
So I want to go out and actually do something now.
Yeah. Well, you're keeping busy with the music.
Yeah. That's what I'm at least happy that I'm keeping busy with that.
That's awesome. Well, so it sounds like for racing cars and video games, like that is your way to decompress after a day of being creative in your music, organizing that, trying to get all the logistical side of that, which is also a big headache, like signing papers for busking and all that. Yeah. Like that is, that's like a very,
of course,
not unique. A very common, that's the word. Common way people use video games as a way to relax.
Of course. I mean, my dad even says, I mean, he would do like video games to relax, but even now he's saying, I don't have time to play video games anymore. I don't have time to pick up my guitar anymore because he's a family man.
Okay.
My 9-year-old brother Declan and his wife Shannon, basically my stepmother, although I don't refer to her as that, but like,
Mm.
I don't know what terminology to use because she's going to be watching this later when it comes out. And I'm like,
shout out to
Declan
and Shannon.
shout out to Declan. I love you. And Shannon, of course, I love you as well. And Dad, you're the biggest Giga Chad that I've ever known. And but like he's like, I don't have time to do much of that these days.
Yeah.
Because he's a family man. His 10th wedding anniversary is coming up in August.
Congrats.
Yeah. But like he doesn't have time to do that. I have more time on my hands right now, at least, to at least do that. And I want to at least cherish that. I mean, I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
Like, I'm actually curious.
We'll reverse.
Of course. We'll reverse for a little bit. What was the first gaming console that you ever played on?
Ooh, spoilers for the eventual episode that I'll do where I get interviewed on my questions.
Dang, I'm looking forward to watching that.
But yeah, a little preview. So first console that I owned, like that I could call mine. Well, spoilers, I have 2 younger brothers, so I never got my own console. But I would say the first one we got was the GameCube in 2004.
Oh wow! Dang, that was the year. That was the year I was born. I'm sorry.
Dating myself. But
hey, the word is in my name. So.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
wow.
When you're a kid.
The GameCube.
Yeah. Hey, there's older, Lucas.
Yeah. Well.
So that was kind of like, yeah, we were still kids, so we had tons of time. So I want to go back to like when your dad was saying there's no time anymore. And that's kind of true. When you get a little older, more responsibilities, he has to take care of his family, like the family man. He has to go to work. And then by the time that he gets home, like to play video games and be challenged some more is maybe not something that he wants to do or people want to do. They just want to watch TV or watch a movie and just hang out. Right. Not have to think. So yeah, that's a very interesting
GameCube.
Way.
That was because the first console that I ever played on, and this actually might surprise you.
Yeah.
Given how old I am. The first console that I ever played on was a gift from my mother when I was 9 years old, and it was the original PlayStation 1 console from 1995. Nice. I had one of those. And I had stuff like Army Men 3D, which my dad played as a kid, Ford Racing, Gunfighter: The Legend of Jesse James, The Italian Job, which I love that video game. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I remember.
I think I watched the movie as a kid, and I'm like, I don't get what's happening. This movie's boring.
Yeah,
and I used to watch it again.
Yeah, and I played the video game, but and I also had Gran Turismo 2 on that, and that was basically like I didn't realize that Gran Turismo was that old, and I was 9, and I was like, okay. Yeah. And then the first Gran Turismo is actually one of the best-selling games on that console. I think it's like 10.8 million units were sold on that video game or something, and it was like 1997 or something when that game came out, and it actually took 5 years to develop.
Wow. So that's like common now. It wasn't common back then.
Taking for a video game to take 5 years to develop.
Yeah.
So I got the PS1 and I stayed with that until I was 11. Then I got a PS3.
Okay.
Which I played a lot of first-person shooters on that. Like Call of Duty Black Ops 2, you could not get me off of that. Because I played with my younger brothers, Wyatt and Weston.
Yeah.
And we all played, Black Ops 2 Zombies together. And I like co-op playing. Yeah. I don't like going in there with like a bunch of lobby people.
Yeah, because you're in a band, right? It's co-op. It's about working together.
Of course.
So since we're on this tangent, so growing up with games, how would you say it influenced your life? Like I think like people always get afraid, if you play games really young, you're just gonna be unproductive and play video games forever. But for you, like you're an aspiring musician, you have lots of goals, you still appreciate video games.
Of course.
How have games like influenced your life overall?
Influenced my life overall. That is, you know what, Samson, that is actually a really good question.
That's why it's on. That's why it's on the list.
A question that I've never been asked before.
Sure, yeah.
How they've influenced my life overall. I mean, I guess it really opened my eyes to a whole different way of entertainment.
Okay.
Because when I was younger, I thought it was all movies and TV, which at the time didn't interest me. And I was looking for something different. And of course, I love music and stuff like that. And I play my electric drums like 4 or 5 hours a day. I used to do that, which probably drove my neighbors absolutely bonkers. But But how they influenced my life overall, I mean, they basically were like, gave me another way to sort of, do something else with my free time. That being said, I did get carried away when I was about 11, 12 years old.
Yep.
I kind of put music on the back burner, which I'm looking back on it now, terrible decision. I would not do that again. But
if you were 12 years old again,
if I could get a time machine, I go back and tell my 11, 12-year-old self, don't do this.
Yeah. Focus on music
because you'll be a lot further in that than you were if you were to just sit down and play Black Ops 2 every evening after you go home from school.
Yeah.
After you got your homework done.
Do I have to tell you, if I put the amount of hours I put in Guitar Hero and Rock Band into actually learning music?
Oh gosh.
I'm still good at Guitar Hero, but I mean, I don't think people make Guitar
I'm
Hero.
I'm not good at Guitar
anymore.
Hero. I cannot do Guitar Hero to save my life. I'm terrible
funny.
because my hand-eye coordination is like,
but you play guitar. How does that?
I do play guitar, but it's like do, and I'm like, oh, this is coming.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Oh
but
man,
like at the same time, like I mean, I get it. I could probably get used to it, but I'm not.
Or you can play your actual guitar and
I could
be more productive.
Yes, and that's what I chose to do.
Yeah, good call.
Influenced my life overall. I guess they just provided an additional form of entertainment and gave me a way to, sort of decompress other than just music.
Yeah, well, because you said movies and TVs didn't work for you, but games were there and they did. And then without games, like maybe you won't even know, like,
right.
Maybe you never decompress. You'll never decompress.
I'd always be this tense person.
But no, that's interesting. And it also sounds like games also gave you and your siblings lots of opportunities to make memories and to bond and play. Like that's also
and
important.
It was a big bonding session between me and my younger brothers, especially my brother Wyatt. And because we not only played Call of Duty together on the console, but the main game that we also played was Minecraft on the PC, which I still play all the time to this day. It's one of my favorite video games ever.
Yeah.
And it's like that was a big bonding thing because we went like 2 years doing that like every weekend. And it was quite something because I felt like I could really, talk because I don't live with my brothers and they live vastly different lives than I do. But that was those, like every weekend were those moments where we could just forget about all that. We could just act like actual brothers. Siblings that spend every hour of their time in the same household and just forget about that and just have fun.
Yeah. It sounds like, video games allowed you and your siblings to be siblings and to feel that way, especially when not living with each other. Like that's important. Like, your family will always be there. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Of course.
Okay, so we're getting ready to close out our show. So I'm going to ask the two questions I always ask. We'll start with the fun one.
Yeah.
So one day I am now super rich.
Yes.
And because I love video games so much, I want to make a video game based on my favorite musician in the world.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a lump sum of money, as much as you want. What video game would you make? And bonus points, make it about your life.
Make it about my life.
Yeah, whether it's theme or
because I've got several video game ideas, but they don't. The problem is none of them have to do with me.
Okay, hey, but why don't we just start there? What's your dream video game that you would make?
My dream video game is to basically merge the ideas of Cyberpunk 2077 and Detroit Become Human and put them together to create a video game with a storyline that I've been thinking about called Revolution 2070.
Okay.
Which is basically set in 2070 in California, basically like a big metropolis state like California or like Singapore, some area like Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And about how you're basically being controlled by this mega government that basically tracks you by having these earpiece, having these
AirPods
things etched into your earlobes and stuff like that. And it's the whole story is how they're trying to overthrow the system. And it's like, it's really, it's it's out of the ordinary, and I can see why it would be controversial, but it's something kind of out of the ordinary, and I'm always drawn to fascinating stories.
Okay.
And I love realism, and I love graphics. There are a lot of insane graphics and stuff like that. But
so it's like kind of cyberpunky, like
kind of cyberpunk.
Okay.
And there would be full character customization.
Cool.
Because you have to do that.
Yeah. Very fun nowadays.
Of course. And but based off my life, it would definitely be something music related.
Okay. Like a rock band music related game, or could it be like a story game? That
it would be
music?
like I would say it's more of it would be more of a story game. I don't have an idea on that yet, but I think it would be more of a story based music related game.
Cool.
Because I feel like not enough of those exist in this world. In fact, I think hardly any exist in the realm of music.
There's definitely been some, and I know there's one that came out kind of recently. I already forgot the name.
Yeah.
It's like okay something, but it's a game about a band, and it takes place over a story. But yeah, you're right. Like that's the one I can think of. There isn't too many story games that tell a story that's also revolves around music.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. What kind of game would it be? Like point and click, puzzle?
I don't know.
First person shooter. No.
well, not first person shooter, but definitely like it would be in the first person field.
Cool. Okay.
About how I believe. I don't know. I'm not sure if it would even be a console game. I think it would be like a PC game.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like these apps on the phone or whatever, where you play as like the manager or like the head of a record label. And you have to basically focus on managing all of these artists and make sure you don't go in the hole.
Okay.
And it's like a simulator. It's very simulatory. I would assume it would be kind of like.
So it's almost like you run the record store. As you run it, like musicians come through, customers come through, and you hear these stories.
Yeah.
Maybe you influence them a little bit because you're like, oh, I trust this store owner. Maybe they know what's best for me.
Yeah.
Cool. That'd be really cool.
But that's something that I've always been drawn to, is stuff like doing that. Like
storytelling almost.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, of course.
That's a really cool idea. Well, if one day I make it big, it will be the first Grow Up Level Up published game.
Yes.
Actually, we got 7 other games to publish as well.
Right. And if I make it big, then I will definitely see if I can put that into production.
Yeah. But
I'm not leaving you out. Like you're you're definitely gonna be a huge part of this. Yeah, of course.
Cameo. Okay, awesome. Second question.
Yeah.
What is your one piece of wisdom to leave with the world?
I feel like I already did do it, but I'll do another one.
You can repeat it if you want as well.
Mean, I'll do another one.
Sure.
But it was my biggest piece of advice, especially for I've actually got 2 pieces of advice. One of them was one of them I've chosen to take inspiration from Vanilla Ice for this one.
Oh, okay.
And
the rapper.
Of course. Get in where you fit in. That's what he always says. One thing about this world is yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. All right. Yesterday's already happened. You can't go back and change it. Tomorrow hasn't happened yet, so don't worry. And if we didn't have, unique stuff like abilities or dreams, we wouldn't have any ambition. We would basically just be like, we basically be like the George Lucas film THX 1138 from 1971. We'd be like these beings that just exist just to go about life.
Mm-hmm.
But the main piece of advice, especially for musicians, was given to me. It's a line from the movie August Rush that's done by Jonathan Rhys Meyers. And the line is that you never quit on your music, no matter what happens. Because anytime something bad happens to you, it's the one place you can escape to just let it go.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that the hard way.
Oh. You quit music and then you had no place to go.
I didn't quit, but there have been several times where I thought this is not going anywhere. I don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Where am I going to go? Who am I? Who am I going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I had gone so far down one path that I didn't think that I could turn back anymore. But I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break, just reevaluate my own self for a day or two. And that was what happened. But I realized that I can't quit. I've already come this far. I've already come this far, 10, 11, 12, 15 years even actually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no reason to stop now. Yeah. There's no reason.
That's awesome. Once again, beautiful way to put it.
Of course.
Thank you so much for coming in, Dayton.
Thanks for having me.
If people want to learn more about you, find your music, what
Yes.
Copperleaf is up to, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at official Dayton Cahill. That's Dayton Cahill, spelled Cahill. For my more random thought process and everything, there's my Twitter at Dayton Cahill. And then my Twitch, of course, which is mentioned at Daytona 970, which, as a brief side, that was taken, the Daytona name was taken from my nickname in elementary school. They called me Daytona 500. And that name was
I wonder why.
That name was already taken.
Oh, no.
So I couldn't use it.
Yeah.
But I like the 970 because I like the number combination.
Yeah. Fair enough. Good enough reason for me.
The way that they look beside each other. So I was like, I'm just going to use that.
Mm-hmm.
So at Daytona 970, you can find me there. And for any updates on what Copperleaf is up to, I will let you know, though they will be quite sporadic. But since we're still in the early stages, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this is going to be. But at Copperleaf Band on Instagram, we've got a few covers on YouTube as well. At Copperleaf Music or at Copperleaf Band. I can't remember exactly what the handle is on YouTube. I think it's Copperleaf Music.
Yeah, Copperleaf Music, you'll find it. And we'll link it in the description below as well.
I could be totally wrong on that. But
and then to find you on Spotify, it's Dayton Cahill?
Yeah, Dayton Cahill on Spotify. We don't have a Spotify for Copperleaf yet, but that is coming soon. At some point.
Stay posted on the socials.
Of course.
And for us at Grow Up Level Up, thanks again to Launch Academy for hosting this episode. launchacademy.ca. Please check us out. We are a tech accelerator in Vancouver, working with tech startups.
Right here in the heart of Yaletown.
In Yaletown, Vancouver. It's beautiful outside.
Oh, yeah. No, I love it down here.
As well as follow us on all our social medias at Grow Up Level Up on Instagram and Twitter, as well as Samson XP on Instagram and Twitter to follow my antics as well. My sporadic antics.
The legend himself.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I need that quoted somewhere.
Of course.
Follow us on our newsletter, growuplevelup.substack.com. Little announcement, episodes will be a little more sporadic as guests come and go. We have lives outside of this podcast, so we got to work around that. But I hope each time an episode comes out, you guys enjoy it, and definitely send any feedback my way. I always appreciate listening to it. Other than that, Dayton, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Samson. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it. And
first time podcasting too.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if there's anything, if there's anything else you're interested in having me in on, don't hesitate to let me know. I'll be here for it.
Definitely. Yeah, maybe we'll do like a collaborative episode one day, but they posted to our socials to find out. Dayton, thank you for coming in.
Of course. Thanks for
everyone else. It's been our pleasure to serve you.
Peace out.